Hello, Sketchnote Adventures, and welcome back to another very messy desk Sketchnote Adventure, inspired by this guy, Stanley the Hamster, and this book, Stanley and the Very Messy Desk, An Adventure in Sketchnoting. And we are ridiculously excited that you're back here with us. Before we get started, before we pick the adventure that we're going to go on this episode, I need you to pick the tool that you're going to use to sketchnote this adventure. Stanley and I are mixing it up today. We're picking paper. We're going to use Post-it notes also, and a Sharpie. What tools you want to use with, what tools you are comfortable with using is up to you, and there are no rules with this Messy Desk adventure. Let's see what adventure we get to go on today. And topics for sketchnoting can come from anything and from anywhere. All of our sketchnote adventures, let's see what we get to go on today. It is let's get that in there, a TED Talk. So for this adventure, Stanley and I get to pick a TED Talk, and I'll put a link to TED Talks in the comments that you can pick from. And we get to watch and listen and think and imagine and doodle and connect with all the information in that TED Talk.
My name is Cole, and over the next few minutes, I'm going to teach you that it's okay to be different. Since a young age, I've worn different colored socks and 2 different shoes. Why? Because I am unique, a standout from the crowd. I feel best when I am being me. This summer, a funny thing happened. I was in a bookstore with my mom when I realized everyone was strangely quiet. And so I did what needed to be done. I started singing. As a joke, my mom pointed to a book and said, "Hey Cole, this book is for you." I pulled it out and read the cover. Here's what it said: "You're weird." A creative journal for misfits, oddballs, and anyone else who's uniquely awesome. It's the best book ever. It tells everyone it's cool to be different. Today, I'm going to tell you about a friendship of mine that is a little different than you might expect. This is one of my best friends, Steven. He is the happiest person I know. Steven is 44 years old and has autism. Let me start by explaining how we became special friends. When my mom was just 13 years old, she was in the high school cafeteria about to have lunch with her friends. Then she passed a table of kids with special needs. Steven was a boy at that table. He shouted out, "Hey, what's your name? Come sit with me." My mom sat down, and in that moment, a special friendship began. Steven asked my mom 3 questions. He wanted to know what she was having for lunch, her phone number, and if they could be friends for 40 years. As my mom gave him her phone number and said yes, he clapped with excitement and said, "I will call you every day." Ever since that day, in 1988, he has kept his promise and called our house every single day. When I was born, Steven was a special part of our family, and I've grown up calling him Uncle Steven. Steven is included in family dinners, he comes to my soccer games, he loves watching movies with us, and every couple of weeks he has a sleepover. Steven has had autism his whole life. Autism spectrum disorder refers to a range of conditions characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech and nonverbal communications, as well as by unique strengths and differences. My friend Steven is not able to drive a car, but he is able to memorize every phone number he has ever heard. There is no cure for autism, but I think Steven is perfect the way he is. One of my favorite memories with Steven is whenever a fire truck passes us. He shouts out, "When I grow up, I want to be a fire truck." That always makes me smile. He likes the idea of being a fireman, but he the idea of being a fire truck. Another thing that always makes me laugh is how much he likes to eat. Have you ever met someone who can eat a steak, 8 slices of pizza, French fries, apple pie, ice cream, and they are still starving? Well, Steven eats all that almost every time we see him. Finally, one of my favorite memories with Steven is when we play hide and seek. He always hides in the closets. I love playing hide and seek with Steven. It always makes me smile. But not just me. He makes everyone smile. I don't think we need a cure for autism, just like we don't need a cure for freckles. Autism is not a disease, just like brown hair isn't a disease. You don't need to fix something that isn't broken. I look up to my Uncle Steven as he is the happiest person I know. Steven doesn't try to be like anyone else. He is exactly who he was meant to be. Imagine a world where we all live like Steven. Find out what makes you different. Don't be afraid to stand out. Wake up, jump out of bed, and be exactly who you are. We are all a little different, and that's awesome. Thank you.
All right, adventures. There are lots of different ways I could organize these Post-its. Looking at this piece of paper, I'm seeing that I have lots of information on here. My paper is not big enough for it, so I could decide, you know what, Carrie, you're just going to go for it, and we're going to squish them all on here, and we're going to make it be so much fun with doodles, infusing it with doodles that connect with the words. Or I could start looking at these Post-its and start to think, are there any Post-its that are the same that I could maybe combine, or pick one to keep, and maybe the other one is just a secondary one that was a good idea for me to write down at the moment, but the other one tells more of what the TED Talk was about. And so I'm scanning all of these, and I notice that I have Uncle Steven and autism. And I do like that, you know, Cole talked about autism, but I'm going to keep Uncle Steven because, and then I'm going to write underneath it, because we want to be proud of Uncle Steven and his autism. And so I have that in there with him. And then let's think. The mom's lunch, that's where he met, that's where Cole's mom met Steven. And he asked the mom 3 questions. And I think I'm going to keep the 3 questions one versus the moms at lunch. No, you know what? I'm going to keep this one instead because I can use the 3 questions with the mom. And so I can put this one aside as well. I do want to kind of do a circular one with this because Cole tells us a story. His mom's at lunch one day at high school or middle school. And then she meets Steven. And that's where the 3 questions is going to come in. So I'm going to take this Post-it and put it right over to the side so I remember that I want to talk about that. And then they enjoy games and smile and they eat a lot. Oh, I like how this is going. And Cole has nothing but unconditional love for his uncle, Steven. And Cole learns through this experience, through this time spent with Steven and his family, that being exactly who you want to be. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read these Post-it notes out loud. I'll read them out loud to all of us. And then I'm going to imagine in my head what these Post-it notes make me imagine. And I might imagine something from my brain, an experience that I have that connects with these words. Or Cole was really good at showing us visuals during his TED Talk. So I might imagine the TED Talk or what he showed on the screen and do a quick doodle of that on this sketch note. But let's start here. So Cole starts his story with talking about different socks and different shoes. He loves to wear them. He even stands on the stage and he has different socks and different shoes on. So have to draw some socks here and some different socks and some different shoes. And I'm actually going to add a little glue to this now that I know where I want my Post-it notes to be. I'll make it just stick more. Different shoes. Okay. And then I know that Cole said that she met Steven at lunch. So I'm going to imagine just going to have some fun with like a school lunch tray here. And it was his mom. I think I'm just going to stick with that. Just a lunch tray. And then now I'm going to go back, and I know there were 3 questions that I'm going to listen again to see if I can add anything more to the mom lunch story.
We start by explaining how we became special friends. When my mom was just 13 years old, she was in the high
So she was 13.
school cafeteria about to have lunch with her friends. Then she passed a table of kids with special needs. Steven was a boy at that table. He shouted out, "Hey, what's your name? Come sit with me." My mom sat down, and in that moment, a special friendship began. Steven asked my mom 3 questions. He wanted to know what she was having for lunch, her phone number, and if they could be friends for 40 years.
Okay. Cole went on to talk about how Steven comes over. He comes to his soccer games. They watch movies. They go to sleepovers. So I'm going to pick a soccer ball to draw in here. This makes me draw a soccer ball. Soccer balls are so hard to draw. Just going to fake it. Make it look like it's bouncing. And so the last thing that I'm going to do is add some color to this. Now this one doesn't really need all that much color because I have the Post-it notes. But I always enjoy adding color to my sketch notes. It calms me, it makes me smile. It's also a great way to, for me, gives me closure on my sketch notes. If for you, it could be that you want to color all the things that are the same, that have similar topics you could pair them with. So like all the things that Stephen gave the family, which is actually everything, right? And they gave him back, could all be one color. You could progress, you could make it all one ombre effect of like shades of blue. So there really are no rules for what you want to use for colors. You can color to make it look pretty. You can color to categorize things. You can color to organize things. However it works for you. I'm just going to color to color today. All right, Sketchnote adventurers, Stanley and I hope that you had all kinds of fun with us on this sketchnoting adventure of sketchnoting a TED Talk. I know I did. It was an adventure in sketchnoting as well as an adventure that just filled my heart. If you were here with us on this adventure and you sketchnoted your own TED Talk or the one that Stanley and I sketchnoted too, share out your sketchnote on Twitter or Instagram using hashtag SATVMD, Stanley and the Very Messy Desk, so that Stanley and I could see all the fun you get into when we take in information, we imagine it, we connect with it, we draw and connect with the words and doodle our learning. Amazing, powerful, and wonderful things happen, and Stanley and I would love to be a part of it with you.